you want to be a part of the conversation before it happens here on YouTube, click that link in the description to join the free Courtside Financial Discord. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Weekend Recap on the Courtside Financial Podcast, a segment where we bring you a compilation of everything that went down throughout the week from a stories perspective. Before we get into this video, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and click the notification bell icon so you don't miss out on any content that's coming in the future. So in today's episode, we'll be talking about a man whose social media brand actually caused some harm to NIO, and he was sued for about $11,000. We'll also talk about why battery swap is very good, referencing an article from CNEV Post. And we'll talk about NIO making some major progress on their Firefly brand. Lastly, we'll finish things off with the biggest players in the battery swapping space. I've been saying on the channel for a long time, NIO is the biggest and the best player in the battery swapping space that I know of to date. Okay, so first and foremost, Mr. Zhu, who owns a big social media brand in China, has been saying some harmful things to NIO. Against NIO, making false claims on their brand. And NIO in the past, when these type of things have gone on, they haven't really been very combative or protective of their reputation. However, in this situation particularly, they decided to sue this person, which I think is rightfully so. NIO's a growing brand, and they can't have the perception floating around that they're doing these negative things, like this person was saying, like their vehicles caused a crash, which was not true. So anyways, they went ahead to sue this person for around over 11,000 US dollars is the conversion. And we actually went and we talked to a legal expert about this, and here's what Mr. Johnson, our legal expert, had to say about this particular scenario. He said, Mr. Zhu formally signed a letter of apology to NIO acknowledging his illegal infringements. This marks a significant victory for NIO in defending its reputation against online defamation. And so with that being said, this story is pretty straightforward. You know, you just can't be spewing false information. That's like me, for example. Like, I don't get on here and say things that are not true. For example, I feel like when you're doing content creation, you have to kind of be pretty responsible with your word, because it actually affects a lot of other people's business, a lot of other people's lives. And this person was not doing that, and he actually owned up to the fact that he wasn't doing it. He paid the damages, and hopefully NIO has made an example out of this man, and hopefully people are going to be more wise with what they put out there on the internet. So let's move on to our next topic, which is the advantages of NIO's battery swapping system. So if you have been following NIO even from afar, you know that NIO's been making waves in the electric vehicle industry, not just with its cars, but also with its battery swapping technology. Many have been doubtful of it. Many have said why, even ARK Invest has said, why would someone want to do battery swapping? Why wouldn't they just charge their cars? Well, CNEV Post actually posted an article where they dove into the key reasons why somebody would want to do battery swapping. And so we're going to go over those things, and I'm also going to give my opinion. This isn't just like those other channels that just copy and paste things and tell you stuff that you can find on your own. This is a channel where we're going to be reflective of like what's out there as well. So let's get into that part. Number one here is fast and convenient charging. NIO users can quickly get back on the road, or quickly get their battery percentage back up to full in about 3 minutes with these new battery swapping stations that NIO has. And that's just as fast or faster than a lot of the chargers out there today. You know, you go to a Tesla supercharger, it's going to take you about 15 minutes to get to, 80 or 90% full. And NIO has those as well. But battery swapping is another option, and it's a big moat around the business. My opinion here is that NIO's battery swapping infrastructure and battery swapping moat that they're creating around the business is definitely a capability that sets it apart from other EV manufacturers. It allows users to spend more time driving and less time charging. They're just providing users with the ability to replenish faster than traditional EV drivers. Number 2 is pretty new. We talked about this last week, but NIO has flexible battery upgrades. So let's say that you have a standard range battery with NIO and you wanted to go on a super long road trip where you know that your car is probably going to need more energy. You're going to need a long range battery. Well, with NIO, you can absolutely now do this after their announcement at NIO Power Day 2023. My opinion here is that this flexible battery upgrade gives EV users a forward-thinking approach to EV ownership. Let's say someone doesn't want to pay for the longer range version. They just want to pay for the standard range version. And when it's time to make those longer trips, then they can pay a little bit of a fee to get the longer range battery for a period of time to really get more efficient with their spending. Definitely a good thing here. Number 3 is there's a lower vehicle purchase threshold. That's right, there's battery as a service, which NIO is really big on. Battery as a service is a separation of the body of the vehicle and the battery. So NIO users can actually buy the vehicle and rent the battery, and that's going to make the overall vehicle purchase a lot cheaper, opening it up to a wider market of consumers. NIO's unique pricing model makes it more accessible to budget-conscious consumers. It addresses affordability concerns and is definitely supercharging the way to a greener future. Number 4 here is enhanced safety and battery life. Yes, one of the biggest considerations of buying an electric vehicle is battery degradation over time. I was looking around right now just to see if I could find one of my iPhones. I have so many different iPhones, and eventually, you guys know, as you keep an iPhone over the years, eventually you want to replace it, maybe not even for technology purposes, but just to replace it because the battery degrades over time. That's what happens with lithium-ion batteries. And so with NIO, what they're doing is allowing for that separation, meaning that users no longer have to worry about battery degradation. Let's say your battery goes bad, you can replace it. In a lot of cases, like I said, with battery as a service, a lot of people don't even own the battery, they only own the car. A lot of EV makers, you're kind of pretty much stuck with the battery that you purchased the car with, and also battery technology is getting better and better over time, and that's just not a good thing for your battery to become antiquated when there's a lot better technology out there on the market. NIO's battery swapping stations also perform health checks on the batteries, and this ensures timely detection of potential hazards. Topic number 3 now is that NIO's sub-brand Firefly has been making significant progress. So Firefly is NIO's foray into the more affordable part of the European electric vehicle market. We're looking forward to Firefly in Europe, and we're looking forward to Alps in China. There has been a lot of worry around the Firefly brand, as its first model has seen some design freezing, leading to people thinking that the Firefly concept and brand might get scrapped altogether. Well, there's some good news here. There's a ray of light. Its first model is expected to enter the mold development stage, which is really good for NIO and its employees. So the Firefly's R&D development team is located in China, and so NIO, as we know, earlier this year, pretty much for most of this year, they've had some pretty weak deliveries, and so they've been forced to get kind of more cautious with their cash spending, watching what's going in and watching what's coming out. And so that's probably what led to a lot of fear of the Firefly brand getting canceled here. However, with this mold being created, it's a good sign. It's positivity for the brand. NIO's still making strides over there, and it doesn't look like they're actually going to cancel this project. It's interesting to see how NIO's navigating these challenges and progressing with the Firefly project, and we've discussed it before on the channel, but we'll continue to keep you posted as there's more developments and updates that come to light. Last topic here is China's battery swapping industry. And so if you've been watching my channel, since day one, I've pretty much said that NIO is the best at what they do when it comes to battery swapping. However, others seem to be following NIO's lead. Several key players have been trying to get in on the trend and be a part of this battery swapping wave. Apart from NIO, Alton and Bolton are key players in the battery swapping market, specifically the taxi cab market. NIO has 68% market share of the total battery swapping stations in China. So as I said, they're the leader. Not only that, they have so many different patents for their battery swapping stations, which makes it hard to be as good as them. So if you doubt battery swapping in China, the battery swap market in China is definitely gaining some traction here. The Chinese government has chosen battery swapping as a preferred method of refueling. And now I've said this a couple times on the channel specifically like that, but I want to clarify before someone gets in the comments and says it's not the preferred method. I said a preferred method, meaning that it's something that is being realized by the Chinese electric vehicle market. Not saying that it's something that's preferred over supercharging by the masses or the majority, just saying that it is something that's there. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about two topics here: weekly delivery numbers for China, and we're also going for new energy vehicles in China. And NIO will actually be releasing their first single motor car. So did they backtrack on what they said last year, I believe it was, or a couple years ago, where they said that they would never produce a single model car? We're going to get into all of that in this episode of the Courtside Financial Podcast, so stay tuned. Okay, so President Qin Li Hong, president of NIO, obviously had once stated that they would never produce a single motor car. And now the two reasons or motivations for this was, one, for safety, and two, for product differentiation. So what do I mean? He likened an electric vehicle to an airplane. He said, does an airplane only have one motor? What if one motor fails? That's a big safety concern. Number two here is product differentiation. He said NIO is a luxury brand. When a lot of people thought that he was taking shots at Tesla, he went back and clarified, and he said having a single motor in your car is okay if you're not a luxury brand. And so Tesla's cheapest model, actually the Model 3, and their lowest trim of it, which is rear-wheel drive, has only one motor in the vehicle. So now NIO will actually be releasing their first single motor car. And do I think NIO is backtracking on what they had previously stated? The answer to that question is no, and we'll get into more details or my thought process here right now. So I don't think NIO's backtracking at all, and here's why. They said NIO's a luxury brand, and so single motors are fine for a brand that's not a luxury brand. So the Alps brand is actually going to be NIO's foray into the mass market. It's going to start in China, and the cars are going to be priced from 200,000 RMB, which is just over 27K, to 300,000 RMB. And so NIO specifically is not releasing a car that's going to have a single motor. All their cars are going to have dual motors, but Alps is not a luxury brand. Like I mentioned, it's for the mass market. And so President Li Hongqin actually had said that it's okay for cars that are not luxury cars to have a single motor. So that's why I don't think that they're backtracking here at all. So from the CNEV Post article, a source had said that NIO is going to be releasing their first single motor vehicle under the Alps brand. That's going to be one trim of the sedan, which is going to be the first car to come out. But obviously there's going to be other trims that don't have a single motor, that are dual motor, just like a NIO, and they're going to be on NIO's new generation of motors built in-house. Now, I believe that this will be under the company that NIO owns, which is XPT Motors, which makes them a little bit more vertically integrated here. And I personally think that NIO having a single motor for the Alps brand is a good idea. I don't think that they need to puff their chest out and walk around with their nose up and say, none of our cars have single motors, or all of our cars have dual motors. I think it's just a good strategic move here to make sure that they include a model that has only one motor, for cost reasons. Manufacturing a car with two motors is going to be more expensive to manufacture a car with one motor, and then also manufacturing a car that has one motor and bringing that to the mass market is going to make this brand available to a broader audience by not excluding them at the price point level. It also looks like NIO has been pretty agile with this decision because initially their plan was to make the Alps brand only have dual motors in their vehicles, but it looks like they changed their mind. And I think that this is a good thing. It's good to see that the company is being nimble and being able to do what's best strategically. It's better to correct a mistake before it happens, is something that I always say. So right now we're obviously on the NT 2.0 platform, but by the time the Alps brand comes out, this vehicle will be running on NIO's next generation platform, which is going to be NT 3.0. NT 3.0 is reportedly going to be built on an 800V high voltage architecture, which is going to allow for faster charging times and quicker battery swapping times. Now, we've already mentioned this in previous videos, but the Alps brand will be able to use NIO's infrastructure that includes its battery swapping stations. They plan on rolling out a 60 kilowatt hour battery pack with this model, and then also the other variation is going to be a 90 kilowatt hour battery pack. So let's switch gears here, pun intended, and talk about Chinese electric vehicle registrations or Chinese new energy vehicle registrations for the week of July 17th to the 23rd, with the focus on NIO specifically, of course. Now, guys, last week with my prediction, I was assuming a 25% increase, and I was assuming that NIO would actually deliver 4,875 vehicles this go around. Well, the numbers are in now, and they actually delivered 4,700 vehicles. This represents a 20.5% increase week over week, with them having delivered 3,900 vehicles the week prior. So I was close, and so far the tally for this month is going to be 12,700 vehicles for July. My personal prediction for the month of July is around 16,500. Is that possible? Well, let's say deliveries increase once again by 20%. We'll round down and be conservative. That would be an additional 5,640 on top of our current tally of 12,700. This would actually put us at 18,340. I'm hoping that NIO exceeds my expectations, but I'm going to stay conservative and keep my expectations at 16,500, which would be great news for NIO either way. Even if they deliver 4,700 again, that puts us at 17,400. So where does NIO stack up this week compared to its peers? XPENG delivered 2,600, Li Auto delivered 7,800, and there's a lot of buzz about people not believing Li Auto's deliveries as well, but we'll go with what they reported, I guess, innocent until proven guilty. Anyways, NIO is stack ranking pretty well against these three brands it started with. It has the most deliveries for a pure electric vehicle manufacturer out of these three brands. Very good news for NIO, substantial numbers. We're on the up and up here, I believe. In this Red Sea of battery swapping, these uncharted waters, NIO isn't shying away from the storm. Instead, they're making a daring pivot, transforming charging and swapping into a broader energy infrastructure. They're becoming orchestrators of a symphony that powers the future. Shareholders probably don't want to hear this, but it's clear that NIO's journey isn't just about profit. It's a grand vision to revolutionize electric vehicle charging. They're rewriting the rules, they're daring to dream big, and proving that electrifying ideas can transform an entire industry. Alright, so can you believe that NIO owns 68% market share in China of battery swapping facilities? Well, it's true, but they have yet to turn this daring feat into a lucrative venture. And by that, I mean profitability. We all know that the battery swapping model has had a turbulent history and been labeled a losing business by many. There's still people who are not on board with battery swapping altogether. Most of the reason is because of the high upfront investment and ongoing operational expenditure. Yet NIO, with the determination of a lion, has taken on battery swapping as their primary method of refueling from the very beginning, and it's something that has had and still has the industry scratching its head. I'll say that I always liked battery swapping from the jump. well documented on this channel. We have a couple hundred videos and I've talked about it in a lot of them. But hold on to your hats, my friends, because NIO's not one to back down from this challenge of actually making battery swapping profitable. If they can succeed, they'll certainly make history. But before we get deeper into the topic at hand, can NIO actually achieve profitability from battery swapping? Let's take a trip down memory lane and remember a time when battery swapping was hailed throughout the industry as the next big thing. That's right, long before NIO, the trailblazing innovator Tesla had battery swapping available for its Model S back in 2013. That's almost 10 years ago. The marketing here was battery swapping would provide a quick swap to eliminate range anxiety, something similar to what we're hearing today with NIO. Unfortunately, the idea seemed to fade away like a distant memory as if it had never happened. Elon Musk himself acknowledged the delays in implementing battery swapping, while Better Place, an Israeli startup, completely failed altogether. You see, many players in the industry realize that battery swapping is really just impractical because each automaker's batteries are uniquely woven into their architecture. Making a one-size approach at that time was nearly impossible. Many at the time believed that battery swapping was a roundabout kind of band-aid solution, but the real key here was to improve charging speeds, and that would be the real fix to address range anxiety. Tesla's superchargers can provide a ton of range in only 15 minutes. Lucid's fast chargers can also provide 300 miles of range in just 20 minutes. And Porsche's Taycan supposedly provides 62 miles of range in just 4 minutes. Now, not to get too far away from NIO, because NIO also does support fast charging, battery swapping isn't their only solution to address range anxiety. They're doing the same thing that a lot of these guys are doing as well. But my point here is that while most of the industry is going in one direction, NIO is going the opposite way. They're doubling down on battery swapping. They're really trying to cement and create a moat for themselves around battery swapping. So I'm very interested in keeping a close eye on NIO as far as this is concerned, because they're not one to back down from a challenge. They seem to be a very ambitious company, and it's always been that way from the jump. You know, they could have just built out their car company in China, the biggest electric vehicle market, but they want to actually expand into a global company as well. And that's something that they, like I said, they've been preaching from the start. At NIO Power Day 2023, which we've also talked about on the channel before, President Qin Li Hong has also admitted that they are losing money in battery swapping currently. However, charismatically, he said, let's work together to make less losses and make profit as soon as possible. So that was kind of a sign that the company does really feel like they can make profit out of battery swapping. So what's the secret to profitability here? NIO's going to have to keep improving on their efficiency and expanding their user base. Talked about this too in a video last week. I believe that a leading investment firm in China said that the formula for profitability, being very conservative, is that every battery swapping station that is created has to do 100 swaps a day to reach economies of scale where it is profitable. Keeping that in the back of our mind, NIO has rolled out a catalog of battery upgrade services. They introduced daily rental plans and they supercharge the battery swapping process. Essentially, they're making it alluring and available to the masses. There's also more. NIO's actually taking a leap into the world of vehicle-to-grid technology. Picture this, NIO's charging piles and electric vehicles turning into virtual power plants. All of this in harmony with the national grid network. It's like a symphony of electrons. While NIO's ambition is admirable, like I said, 68% of battery swapping market share in China, we can't forget about the contenders in this electrifying race. Some are saying latecomers are hot on their heels, but obviously, like I said, NIO has 68% market share. By the time a company like Geely gets to 50 battery swapping stations, NIO will probably have 2,000. And they'll begin scaling even faster than they have. This is why I continue to say, if you build it, they will come. They're really depending on infrastructure as their strategy to success. And that is probably the most important thing for the company right now. NIO's energy system profitability is a thrilling ride of continuous innovation and tenacity. Their shift from a free battery swap for every user to now charging a fee might just be the key to unlocking profitability here. It was a bold move indeed, but I think it was the right move, and I think that it'll pay off in the long run. In this Red Sea of battery swapping, these uncharted waters, NIO isn't shying away from the storm. Instead, they're making a daring pivot, transforming charging and swapping into a broader energy infrastructure. They're becoming orchestrators of a symphony that powers the future. Shareholders probably don't want to hear this, but it's clear that NIO's journey isn't just about profit. It's a grand vision to revolutionize electric vehicle charging. They're rewriting the rules, they're daring to dream big, and proving that electrifying ideas can transform an entire industry. NIO's battery swapping odyssey is a story of passion, tenacity, and ultimately the pursuit of greatness. And what about the long-term goals and strategic visions that these Chinese EV makers have? NIO was never just trying to be a car company. NIO's big thing was building the moat around infrastructure. If they let a Volkswagen in the way that XPENG did, that could actually interfere with their strategic goals or mission or company culture. As we know, the automotive industry is experiencing a seismic shift to electric vehicles, and China is at the forefront of it all. Recently, Volkswagen signed a deal with Chinese electric vehicle manufacturer XPENG to partner on creating 2 new vehicles. They gave them $700 million in cash for a 5% stake. But what does this deal mean for the players involved, especially XPENG and its direct competitor NIO? We're going to explore some intriguing opinions that are out there on the street. Some believe that it's favorable for XPENG as it gains access to XPENG's advanced driver assistance technology and its incredible talent. But others argue that it could be a challenging path for XPENG, with some questioning survival past 2026. Could this deal lead to an eventual buyout of XPENG by Volkswagen? The uncertain future certainly raises some questions. In the court of public opinion, there is some skepticism about XPENG's talent wanting to work with OEM like Volkswagen. And if XPENG can be potentially bought out, does that mean that other manufacturers like NIO could eventually be bought out too? And it raises question to if this trend can be beneficial to Tesla as Chinese EV makers struggle to stay true to their core strategies and mission. On the other hand, some see the partnership between Volkswagen and XPENG as a mutually beneficial partnership. XPENG building 2 cars under the Volkswagen brand is definitely helping out Volkswagen. It's going to be able to fill their software and engineering gap that they have, but there is the concern that XPENG's brand might be overshadowed by the collaborations. It's pretty evident that opinions are varied, but what about NIO? Will they follow the same path and seek partnerships with legacy automakers as well? Well, on this channel we discuss CEO and Chairman William Li's openness to sharing the technology that NIO has with other OEMs and legacy automakers. He's been saying this for some years now, actually. I've been talking about this as a potential future revenue stream. NIO's recent success with deliveries ramping up and orders increasing. Yesterday was announced that we got to 20,000 orders, not deliveries, showcases NIO's confidence in going it alone. They're often compared to the Tesla of China, so there is a difference between NIO and XPENG. The strategic moves made by both XPENG and NIO have implications for their future. XPENG's deal with Volkswagen might provide much needed resources to help the company actually rebrand, but it also raises question about XPENG's long-term autonomy. On the other hand, NIO's determination to stay independent might be seen as a bold move, but it's backed by their rapidly growing deliveries and strengthening fundamentals. They believe that they have the right infrastructure, technology, and charging network to carve their own path. One thing that we can't ignore is the global impact of these collaborations between Chinese electric vehicle manufacturers and legacy automakers. Is this the start of a trend where Chinese electric vehicle manufacturers follow each other into partnerships with legacy automakers? What does this mean for the future of the EV market worldwide? As we wrap up this episode, I encourage our listeners to ponder the significance of this deal and its implications for the entire industry. Do collaborations like this strengthen or hinder the success of Chinese EV makers as a whole? And what about the long-term goals and strategic visions that these Chinese EV makers have? NIO was never just trying to be a car company. NIO's big thing was building the moat around infrastructure. If they let a Volkswagen in the way that XPENG did, that could actually interfere with their strategic goals or mission or company culture? These are essential questions and topics to consider as the EV market continues to evolve and change. While there has been good progress made in the area or realm of solid-state batteries, we have to remember that there's always two sides to the story. We can't ignore the critical challenges that lie ahead. The commercialization of solid-state batteries is no walk in the park. It demands mastery of critical technologies and achieving mass production on a scale that we've never seen before. As NIO's president Quinn Li said, one of the challenges associated with them releasing their 150 kilowatt-hour battery pack is that the 150 kilowatt-hour battery pack costs as much as the car. Alright, so everyone just picture this. What if batteries that are used in electric vehicles have capacity that surges to unprecedented levels, equaling more range for majority of electric vehicles? The charging time becomes ridiculously fast and the cost plummets to levels that we never thought were possible. We already know that the battery makes up majority of the cost for electric vehicles, so this alone would be huge, but these three factors coupled together would create the perfect storm for the entire market to shift to electric vehicles. Range anxiety is a big pain point as well, so being able to increase the capacity is huge. The Tokyo Institute of Technology recently published an article showcasing all solid-state batteries with jaw-dropping properties, heralding them as a new benchmark for the world. It's an impressive feat not just for electric vehicles, but for the entire world, because it marks a turning point in battery technology, as these batteries are going to revolutionize industries from electric vehicles to portable electronics. Professor Ma Cheng from the University of Science and Technology in China developed a solid electrolyte that's both cost-effective and performant. This discovery not only lowers costs, but makes solid-state batteries more accessible for industrial applications. The potential impact on the energy storage market is nothing short of transformative. These advancements stem from groundbreaking research and innovation and the relentless pursuit of excellence. It's a testament to human ingenuity and the tireless efforts of scientists and researchers worldwide. While there has been good progress made in the area or realm of solid-state batteries, we have to remember that there's always two sides to the story. We can't ignore the critical challenges that lie ahead. The commercialization of solid-state batteries is no walk in the park. It demands mastery of critical technologies and achieving mass production on a scale that we've never seen before. Let's dive deeper into NIO's 150 kilowatt-hour solid-state battery pack that continues to face delays. The setback raises question to the complexities of integrating new battery technologies into existing systems. As NIO's president Quinn Li said, one of the challenges associated with them releasing their 150 kilowatt-hour battery pack is that the 150 kilowatt-hour battery pack costs as much as the car. These cost hurdles serve as a stark reminder that just because technologies can be groundbreaking doesn't mean that they equal commercial success. And fundamentally, the complete overhaul from the shift of liquid electrolytes to solid-state batteries is not something that's very simple. It demands that the entire process in which batteries are made today is completely flipped on its head and changed. The process that served us so well for liquid batteries must now be refactored and reimagined for solid-state batteries. This is going to impact production efficiency and product margin as well. So the question remains, are we witnessing a systemic change in the battery industry? And can these changes, if they do go through, actually cement the maturity of the industry as a whole? The path to success might not be easy, but investors and visionaries remain undeterred. So we can only hope for a brighter, more energy efficient future. So what does the next decade hold for solid state battery? Toyota, who's actually the pioneer of this technology, has promised advanced battery technologies by 2025. But are we on the brink of transformation in the energy industry, or are we simply scratching the surface here? As more information and more challenges become prevalent, we'll continue to cover the journey of the EV industry, specifically mostly as it pertains to NIO and solid state batteries. We'll discuss things from experts, investors, and insiders, highlighting their unique perspectives and giving our opinion from the outside looking in. From the laboratories to the boardrooms, we'll uncover the truth about if solid-state batteries could become the next big thing in the EV industry and really shift the automotive industry as a whole on its head. As we move forward, let's not forget the promise that these solid-state batteries offer. Higher energy density, longer life cycle, enhanced safety, and improved low temperature performance. It's definitely a tantalizing prospect, but it's one that requires perseverance, innovation, and a relentless pursuit of progress. This isn't just a technological revolution, it's a journey towards a more sustainable, electrifying world.
If roads could speak, they'd ask to see what progress we're making. So we'd show them what we launched in 2021. A new way to deliver clean energy to any electric vehicle. Fully autonomous modular battery swapping. A way to finally make clean energy as quick, convenient, and cheap as gas. If roads could speak, they'd tell us to pick up the pace, which is what we're doing.
NIO and Ample are certainly on a collision path as we stand at the crossroads of electrification. The race for infrastructure, the pursuit of innovation, and the quest for sustainable solutions shall all unfold before our very eyes. If you want to be a part of the conversation before it happens here on YouTube, click that link in the description to join the free Courtside Financial Discord. What's going on, everyone? My name's Obi, and welcome back to Courtside Financial, the podcast where we talk about business and technology. Today, we're going to be talking about Ample, the battery swapping EV startup based out of California, and the implications that it may have for a company like NIO, who has plans to enter the American market. So this is going to be a pretty interesting episode. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below, and click that notification bell icon because your engagement really does go a long way in helping out the channel. These things really do help out small creators like myself. Now, as we've constantly pointed out, NIO is the dominant player in the battery swapping realm. They have 68% of market share in China, and I'm sure they have the most market share globally when it comes to battery swapping stations. However, a cloud of curiosity looms over their lack of presence when it comes to battery swapping stations in the US. On the other hand, Ample, the California-based battery swapping station startup, already has battery swapping infrastructure on the ground in America. In a way, this is a tale of two contrasting stories, although Ample doesn't have that many battery swapping stations in the US, and I don't think they have the level of technology that NIO has when it comes to battery swapping as well, because NIO's a little bit more mature in that regard. As we explore this further, let's look at the partnership between Ample and Fisker. This brings the concept of battery swapping to the forefront of the American market. But could this collaboration make battery swapping a must-have for American EV drivers? And here's where the plot thickens. Ample claims that they're able to adjust their battery swapping concept to different EV architectures. Has recently discussed that they're having discussions with several automakers about being able to use their technology, but those automakers would have to re-architect their vehicles to match NIO's battery swapping standards. Ample, on the other hand, is allegedly offering unparalleled flexibility. I'll have to admit that is a clever approach, and this is something that could limit NIO to only being able to partner with a select few. But let's not forget the importance of infrastructure. Ample has already set foot on American soil, deploying its battery swapping stations in the US already. While NIO has ambitions to come to the US, it's certainly caught up in a geopolitical whirlwind between the US and China, and they're trying to navigate that as best as they can. The infrastructure race is crucial to NIO's success, as they've outlined in their respective markets, such as Europe and China. This is a concern worth pondering, don't you think? I think the biggest point here is what NIO's previously outlined is the infrastructure race. Getting infrastructure on the ground is more important than deliveries right now, because if you build it, they will come. Basically, if you have enough infrastructure, you'll have enough customers. And obviously they have zero infrastructure in the US, and a competitor is already working on doing that right now, which is Ample. On the flip side, Ample has the opportunity to prove if battery swapping in the US is a viable option and a good technology for this market. Skeptics might recall Tesla's battery swapping trial in Coalinga, but the question we have to ask ourselves is, even though they failed, was it a fair trial? Only a select few were invited, and the allure of fast charging via superchargers just took attention away from the idea of battery swapping in the first place. It dampened the prospect of battery swapping, and it leads us to ask, did Tesla even give battery swapping a fair shot? As we navigate these uncharted waters, let's embrace the spirit of innovation. As the EV industry advances, many automakers could embrace the value of battery swapping. It's like witnessing the dawn of a new era, and NIO's lead as far as technology and amount of infrastructure in regards to battery swapping could be a defining factor. But what we don't want is for the US market to be taken out of NIO's grasp because competitors are laying down infrastructure a lot faster and sooner. So let's continue to ponder the possibilities, good or bad, and continue to witness the change going on throughout the EV industry. The road less traveled may lead to groundbreaking solutions, but not without its complexities and challenges. NIO and Ample are certainly on a collision path as we stand at the crossroads of electrification. The race for infrastructure, the pursuit of innovation, and the quest for sustainable solutions shall all unfold before our very eyes. Anyways, that's it for this episode of the Courtside Financial Podcast. Make sure you leave a like, leave a comment down below. Definitely want to know what you guys think about Ample and NIO's battery swapping being able to work in the US market or not. Also, join the free Courtside Financial Discord. We'll link that in the description below. You have everything to gain and nothing to lose. Tons of information coming from several investors, EV enthusiasts, etc. I'll catch you guys tomorrow for a weekend recap, the segment on the Courtside Financial Podcast where we recap the week's biggest episodes. Thank you. That's going to be it for this episode of Weekend Recap for the Courtside Financial Podcast. If you found any of this information valuable, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely leave a comment down below. Genuinely interested in hearing what you guys think about these this new style of videos that we're doing. Anyways, that's going to be it. I'll catch you guys next time.